We good. All right, good.
Do you and I share the same goals? If we do, we can disagree, even strongly disagree, and still have a productive discussion. We might even reach a compromise. But if we don't share the same goals, then what? Then, rhetorically speaking, we're at war, and only one side can win. Let me explain.
I agree with this so far. Much in the same way that my goals of bettering society, furthering the advancement of personal autonomy and individual freedoms are utterly incompatible with the goals of your average reactionary or fascist.
Parents and brother lean more to the liberal side of the political spectrum than I do. We argue, we slightly nudge each other, we change opinions a little bit, and then we go back to Scrabble. They were very upset when President Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate Accords. I was happy. We argued about it, but it was all good because we share the same goals.
You don't, though. If you withdraw from the Paris Climate Accords and you agree with that, you don't share the same goals as somebody who doesn't agree with withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accords.
We all want clean air and water for our children. We all want to develop clean energy.
What?
We want America's economy to prosper.
You don't want.
We want to be less reliant on fossil fuels.
You don't want these.
I thought the Accords were a bad deal for America. The best way to lower carbon emissions, in my opinion, is to let the free market and American ingenuity loose on the problem.
This is. Do I even need to respond to this? This is like a meme at this point. Global warming is like an objective example of a market externality. It is a consequence of market failures which can't be accounted for in the market. If a corporation can make more money in a way which shits on the environment, they are going to do so. The free market is the enemy of the environment, and American ingenuity may very well be its solution, but American ingenuity must not be applied through the free market. It must be applied through government-subsidized programs which do not have a profit incentive. There's no alternative. This is a meme.
They, in contrast, think the government needs to step in, fund the research, and keep the corporations in line. Doesn't matter, because we have the same goal.
This is not true. This is fundamentally untrue. Though this is a good sort of centerpiece on how liberals tend to capitulate to fascists, which this person almost certainly is, or at least some kind of reactionary. The idea that letting the free market loose on this is like Ron Paul and states' rights. This is like when a hardcore libertarian is like, I don't think the Civil Rights Act should have been passed as a national, constitutional amendment. I think the state should decide. Now, in a vacuum, this person is saying they share a goal with you. Both of you want to reduce racial prejudice in society. You just want to do it through a constitutional amendment, and the libertarian wants to do it by letting the states decide. However, in practice, what this means is that many states will not choose to legislate equality to the same degree that the constitutional amendment would have. So while both of these people pursue the same goal in a context-devoid, superfluous nonsense sort of way, in reality, one of them, the one who supports the constitutional amendment, actually supports the reduction of racism in society, and the one who supports the states' rights approach is instead forestalling the end of racism by ensuring it is dealt with and capitulated to in the weakest possible terms. That's what's happening here. Oh yeah, we both want to deal with global warming. You just support policies which have been proven to be efficacious and are the only chance humanity will have of making it to the 22nd century, and I want to let the free market solve the problem. These are not this isn't a shared goal. In the slightest. Let's continue.
A healthy planet. We also disagree on gun control. My brother's a little more with me, but my dad wants a lot more regulation because he wants fewer school shootings. So do I. So does my brother. But I believe if a potential killer knew he'd encounter teachers and administrators well-trained in the use of weapons, we'd have less shootings.
Just arm every teacher and put school security guards at every fucking facility, even though there is absolutely no evidence to suggest that any such policy could A, be afforded, and B, would actually work to prevent school shootings. I can't. I don't know. It's just a big fucking meme, right? Like American schools, Lamau. Metal detectors at the gates, Lamau. Armed security in the hallways, Lamau. Mrs. Jensen has a Glock under the desk, Lamau. Like, this is the direction we need to be. No other country in the world has this problem, Lamau. Mind you, yeah, NA schools. Fucking lol. Mind you, I don't actually support gun control, but for completely different reasons.
Different solutions, shared goal. I've always thought this is how America is supposed to work. Liberals and conservatives respectfully arguing over the best solution to a shared goal.
At what point... Liberals and Republicans and Democrats have been arguing over the most milquetoast, banal implementation of government policy, which is considered standard operating procedure in basically every other developed country on Earth for the past 3 decades. The idea that, because this is what he's about to say, that leftists have blown this open. The idea that there was some precedent of Republicans and Democrats getting along and reaching bipartisan solutions to commonly agreed problems before leftists came in is a fucking fantasy.
But now there's a third party in the game.
Yep.
The left.
The left.
And
they're new, by the way. The left totally hasn't existed since, like, the mid-19th century and hasn't had a substantial influence on American politics up to and including the passage of union laws, the passage of standard work hours laws, anti-child labor laws, the entire civil rights movement, the abolitionist movement, the suffragist movement. But no, the left is a fairly modern phenomenon. I believe it came out around the same time that people discovered hair dye.
They're changing the rules. When I was growing up, the left was on the fringe. But now they've moved into the mainstream.
Good.
They've pretty much taken over our educational system.
No. Universities have been pretty consistently left-leaning, but at no point have they been left. Outside the humanities departments, universities do not have like these capital touting professors who encourage their students to stand up against capitalism. This isn't something that happens in American schools. I wish it did happen in American schools. It is, in fact, only through the influence of an openly left-leaning professor that I decided to get into sociology, and thus all of this, in the first place.
In the media, in corporate HR departments, and more, sad to say, in the Democratic Party. The left doesn't share the same goals that liberals and conservatives do. They have a whole different set of goals.
Do you think he would ever make a video like this on how Nazis and white nationalists and other fascist groups have infiltrated the right? Because there is a ton of evidence to substantiate that claim, and fascists sure as fuck do not share a goal with any of the people on the political spectrum in American political discourse left of, say, well, left of Trump, I suppose.
Let me give you some examples. Raising kids without a gender identity or encouraging them to question their sexual identity. This, to me, is a form of child abuse.
Encouraging them to question their sexual identity or to raise them with non-gendered pronouns. Again, we talked about this earlier today. In America, about a century ago, young children were referred to as girls, regardless of their gender. Little boys, they were called girls. Little girls, they were called girls. It was only past the age of 5 or 6 or so that they, when their gendered characteristics became a little bit more visibly evident, that they started to be referred to as young lady or boy. But girl was the gender-neutral pronoun used to refer to young children. This is historical fact, by the way. This is true. This happened. It's out there. Go look it up. So what this person is calling child abuse was actually not only does this idea of a gender-neutral way of referring to young children exist outside American society and predate modern society, it exists within modern American society. I would count a century ago as being modern, at least in the anthropological sense.
Abuse. I don't care who's doing it. Parents, teachers, doctors. Their goal is not my goal.
Because your goal is a gendered binary and a heteronormative society, of course. That's,
Here's another one.
Wait, I like how he doesn't share his goal. He can't do it because he would fucking unveil his fasci power level if he did. These people don't share my goal by encouraging gender non-specific pronoun usage and by encouraging children to question their sexuality. So what is your goal? Just straight kids? Just straight kids? Just boys and girls? He can't say it.
Demonizing white people and males for the world's problems.
Nobody does this. This is boring. This is so boring. Nobody demonizes white people and males as the source of all the world's problems. Holy shit, look at this guy's chin. What a fucking mad lad. Who does the art for these things? Their faces always look a little misaligned. Wait, what? Why is the widow's peak of her hairline like 1.5 inches to the right of her nose bridge? Who authorized this? Where's quality control? These videos get millions of views. Anyway, shouldn't I be demonizing them? To any of those in chat who... Holy shit, 141 viewers? Fucking pog. I'm really, honestly flattered. So anyway, to those of you in chat who are curious, no one on the left is universally demonizing white people or men or whatever the fuck. It's the social concept of maleness and whiteness, which often receive critical attention from left-leaning people. See, maleness is bundled up in a whole bunch of social standards, which often revolve around violence, misogyny, rape culture. There's tons of really well-documented research in these phenomena, and it is tied conceptually to maleness, but let's not throw the babies out with the bathwater here. I am a male. I am not in one bit ashamed of my masculinity, nor am I ashamed of the sex or genitalia with which I was assigned at my birth. So, I don't know. Guess it's not much of an issue. And as for whiteness, now I could talk for hours on the history of whiteness and how it is used almost exclusively as a tool to exclude other groups of people. I'm not going to do that here, but suffice it to say, there is plenty to criticize about the social construction of whiteness. Not white people, mind you. Not white people. Because, I'm a white people. I'm pretty fucking white. I'm not going after the whiteys. Hey, guess what? You big gay, Ducker Z. That's what I'm saying.
Is not part of my value system. There is no shared goal in that. I believe in merit and character over race. But now it's cool to say that white males have done all the bad things in the world.
Literally no one has said that. By the way, this guy knows that nobody has said that. People are being dishonest when they say this.
I have 2 little boys. I get angry just thinking about people telling them they're responsible for racism and sexism. Beautiful little children who just dance in the kitchen and smile. So that's not a shared goal.
Yeah, imagine if leftists went to primary schools and pointed at young white children and told them they were responsible for everything. What the fuck does this guy think we're doing? Jesus Christ. What a fucking nerd. What a chud.
Here's the third example.
What a tiny bit.
People can differ about how many legal immigrants America should allow into the country. But when it comes to whether America should have open borders, well, there's no shared goal there. A country with open borders ceases to be a distinct country.
Good.
And I want America to remain America.
For one, I do support open borders, though there would have to be a transitionary period. I want America to remain America as clear racial dog whistling by letting brown people in America stops being America. You know where else? Yeah, remain white. Just say remain white. You know where else there are open borders? In the EU. See, the EU has made an agreement amidst all of its constituent countries that people can freely travel between EU countries as long as they have a broader EU license or passport or something, right? I don't know. I'm not a fucking Britbonger. Now that they're part of the EU anymore, am I right? But guess what? In spite of this open borders cultural imposition of others, Germany yet remains Germany. Spain yet remains Spain, France yet remains France, Poland yet remains Poland, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland. All of these countries still have a distinct national identity after decades of open borders with their neighbors. Yeah, EU white, though. Exactly. It's a racial argument. The idea that immigrants in and of themselves will destroy a country's hegemony and culture is invoked only when those people are of a different skin color, which harkens back to my earlier statement on whiteness being used exclusively as an exclusionary tool.
All these ideas, and I could give you a dozen more, are coming from the left. They want to turn the history of Western civilization, of America, a history I'm very proud of, into a highlight reel of human errors. These ideas threaten everything I cherish, my family, my community.
They don't. His family and his community are utterly unaffected by everything that he's talking about here. Even if the left were this monstrous demonizing force that he described us to be, we would pose no threat to his family or to his community. Yet!
My country? And what does the left offer in its place? Nothing constructive that I can see.
What? Coming from a fucking Republican, the literal party of obstructionism and not getting anything done. Jesus Christ.
What are their goals? Kids with no clear sexual identity?
Wait, what? No. I mean, what do I say? No?
Groupthink based on race?
Yeah, like keep America white, like keep the borders closed so America can remain America.
Gender?
Oh, God.
Kids with no clear sexual identity? Groupthink based on race?
So we got race, in spite of the fact that this guy has basically invoked a white nationalist dog whistle several times in this video. We've got gender, except the fact that he is explicitly against questioning gender at a young age, or probably at any age. I doubt he has particularly progressive views on trans people.
Gender, class.
On class, the capitalist dogma of class collaboration in America is far more reliant on groupthink than anything the left peddles when it comes to class conflict or class theory.
Class. No national pride or borders.
Unironically, yes, on that one. No, don't be fucking proud of being American. Fuck you.
Are you okay with that? My issue is not with liberals like my brother and my dad and a lot of my friends. We can argue until the cows come home.
Nice way of invoking, like, fucking old-timey American farm values. Does this guy not look a little bit unhinged? The last time I did a Prager video, I talked about wanting to shit down the throat of the person. This guy... Something about this guy looks very unsettling to me. He looks like he's constantly about to cry. He looks like a cult leader, or at least a very impassioned higher-up in a cult. I don't know. His teeth are kind of... I don't know. He looks ghoulish. Like his skull is trying to escape his face. He looks like he was created in the fucking Fallout engine, don't you think? I don't know. He made fun of the Parkland kids. Yeah, like, I'm trying to be civil for the sake of the fucking video and everything, but this guy unironically deserves to die in a ditch alone and cold in Minecraft or in Roblox or in GTA 5 or however else I can skirt by the Twitch TOS.
My issue is with the left because
bet.
we don't share goals. This war of goals isn't coming. It's here. You need to decide which side you're on. The liberals and conservative side or the left's. Your future depends on it. I'm Owen Benjamin for Prager University.
Imagine being able to publish a video like this and not explode from the cognitive dissonance which is required to fail to recognize the fact that Nazis have literally taken over a substantive portion of the Republican Party.